What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us once again here on Banter each and every Friday. We'll do this little podcast thing that we like to get going. We hope you've enjoyed all our episodes so far. If it's the first time tuning in, thank you for your support. If you've listened to most or all, thank you for your continued support. The final Banter in July as we turn the calendar to August. My favorite season quickly slipping away. These two, maybe not right in the head, but they like the fall and the winter better. I don't get it.
I love it.
But let me introduce these two weirdos. To my right, my brother Tyler Zulli. To my left, my good friend, former bandmate, Father Judge alum, Penn State alum. We got a lot in common.
We do.
Mr. Chris Matase. Guys, what's going on?
Just happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a three-man crew once again.
It's happy to be in my own house.
Yeah, right. In the air conditioning where it's not hot out.
One of the reasons I love winter.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to sit here and think about it. Like, do you prefer the heat or the snow? Because
Snow.
I hate shoveling snow.
Well, being that I just had back surgery and the doctor said I can't shovel snow anymore, that kind of worries off my...
Well, so yeah, the weight's off your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's just squarely on Danny and your dad now.
It's okay.
But me and Brandon, being the two men in the house here, we kind of get hit with the load of shoveling all the snow. I mean, it's not like we have a ton. It's not like our driveway's all that big. But still, I think...
I have no problem with it.
So you're telling me you would rather shovel snow than sit out in the heat?
Let me ask you this. Would you rather shovel snow or weed?
I would probably rather weed, honestly, because I hate shoveling snow. I despise shoveling snow.
I've never shoveled weed.
You know, we gotta try that. Maybe we keep getting weeds to grow in our driveway and in our front yard. Maybe I just gotta dig at them with the shovel.
You need to shovel one.
Oh, you've got the right idea.
Well, talking about snowflakes, I think this goes right into our first
I think this
section.
definitely hits into our first topic because there's a lot of controversy surrounding this topic, and whether you're on one side or the other, I think you have a distinct opinion on this topic here. Of course, you know by now, President Donald Trump, believing he could pass this law or just saying he could make rules, but all he did was tweet this.
Is tweets legislation or
maybe
tweets
in the 21st
official
century.
Presidential statements? We don't.
We're not quite sure, and we don't know how what's going on in his brain. But President Trump says that for the time being, no transgender men or women, no transgender people will be allowed to serve in the United States military, regardless of branch or regardless of your sex change, non-sex change. If you are transgender, you're officially disqualified from military service, as of now, according to a tweet.
Can we read this tweet? I just pulled
Go
it
ahead,
up.
yeah, absolutely.
I think we can break this down sentence by sentence.
Let's do it.
This is, I guess, an official presidential statement. After consultation with my generals and military experts, can we break that down first right now? Because our Joint Chief of Staff didn't even know this ban was going to happen.
Right.
So, what is his generals and military experts?
Well, and not only
It's
the
just
Joint
a bunch of standout cut-ins of himself
right?
that he put in a circle.
Well, and not only the Joint Chief of Staff didn't know it, General Mattis, who, I mean, for what General Mattis is worth, he's pretty much Donald Trump's lapdog. But he said he was, quote, appalled by this. So when radical right-wing Secretary of Defense, General Mattis, says this is a problem, it's probably a problem.
With that being said, I just want to know who he talked with. So,
who are generals?
After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened. Burdened. That is harsh language.
Wow.
With the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you.
So what he's saying is because military medical, what's the word I'm looking for? Rights, I guess, or insurance is pretty good. It's government insurance.
Yeah.
It's great. It's pretty much great. That the United States would be losing too much money to pay for any types of surgery or hormones that these transgender people would be getting in order to complete or further their sex change. Now, we had a conversation on transgender a couple of weeks ago on Sesame Street and should the kids be exposed to it, and we had some different opinions. But I think on this issue, we're pretty firm on the same belief. This is just, I don't think there's any other word other than asinine.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like he throws the medical excuse into it just for the hell of it, to try to make it seem a little civil and seem like he's given some kind of good reasoning. But then he says the burden of having transgender in the military. You know what? I don't know a lot of people in the military, but I never heard of a story or anything about a soldier coming back and saying, we would have won that battle, less men would have died if there wasn't that transgender soldier fighting next to me. I never heard of a such thing. And I would love to know the opinions of our military right now, who might know somebody that is in their battalion or in their infantry that is transgender, and now being told, you're too much of a burden to fight by my side.
And that's the one thing I was confused about. So obviously he's saying that you can no longer be accepted into the military, but what if you're already in the military? Are you kicked out now? Are you honorably discharged?
It could go into what it was like as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which if somebody found out, you would essentially be dishonorably discharged or written off as not being in the right mental state of mind.
So now we're getting back to a time and a point where Donald Trump believes that transgender, much like being gay, is the wrong state of mind.
It's the wrong state of mind, and that's how I think the military would classify that.
So basically what Trump is saying is being transgender is a mental disability.
Yeah.
That's what he's getting at.
And he says the disruption that it would cause. Don't you think that him making this statement is causing more disruption? Could you imagine, like, now being a transgender person and, like, being like, do I deserve to be fighting right now? You know, questioning themselves and what they're doing in the middle of battle because the president is saying you don't deserve to be fighting for your country.
I'm honestly trying to figure out, like, I'm still wondering who he talked to. The original question.
We keep coming back to it.
I spoke with all my generals.
Who are your generals?
Which ones?
Yeah.
General William Wallace? Mr. Mel Gibson? I don't think so.
Colonel Sanders?
So
Captain Crunch?
Who, by the way, if you look at his uniform, is not a captain.
He's an admiral.
But my I'm thinking about this, and a lot of people have put this up, and you don't want to be thinking in these terms maybe, but I think it's unavoidable. When you look at military service, and if you brought me 3 caskets draped in American flags of 3 dead soldiers, how are you going to tell me, find the transgender soldier? You know, one of them is transgender, 2 of them are not. Pick which one it is. No, because I'm looking at 3 dead Americans who sacrificed their lives to defend this country and defend this country's freedoms and rights. And the right, basically, the First Amendment right, for President Trump to tweet something stupid like this.
Yep.
You know?
It's just...
It's disheartening, actually.
I mean...
These people are willing
These people are
and
more
able.
braver. More braver? Is that...
Braver.
I'm the most braverest.
That's a Catholic grammar education.
Is braver braver has to be.
Braver.
And bravest. Yeah, so yeah.
Brave, braver, bravest. Like the Braver Little Toaster. Do you guys ever see that?
Yeah, that's the sequel.
Yeah. But, okay, so they're braver than most people I know, putting their lives on the line. And I don't care what their sexual orientation is, life decisions are. They should be able to fight. Especially since, I don't know if the accusations are true. I don't know. Donald Trump supposedly was like a draft skipper,
saying he was quote unquote hurt or unable to perform his duty.
He's not a military guy.
He had an ankle problem which he couldn't adequately describe.
Which, I mean, when you think about his age, he probably should have been drafted during the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
right?
You would think so. He's 70.
He's 70. Yeah,
70, 72. Yeah. So Vietnam started in
60
in the mid 60s.
Yeah.
So he would have probably been 20 in his 20s.
He should essentially have served. And in that kind of position, I don't think he has any right to be saying what situations like that, what war situations call for, because he has no freaking clue.
I have a question for this.
Sure.
Is this only a beginning, or could this go off into some other forms of public service? Like, what if transgender people can no longer be police officers, or nurses, firefighters, something like that?
That's a very
Is this going to branch out?
By the way, we were a little bit too late on Vietnam. It actually started in '55. But regardless, yeah, he would have been drafted.
Yeah.
So side note, but yes, Brandon, I agree with you. What does it span to other professions? What happens when they say, well, you can't be in the military anymore? Like, so if you have a military doctor, so he can't be in the military anymore. She can't be in the military anymore.
What do you call it? You can't serve in the military
in any capacity. Right. So
yeah.
if they're out, the man or the woman is out, the doctor comes out, and they want to go get another job, and now a hospital's going to say, no, we don't want you. We know you have an accomplished track record. You were the best military doctor in this whatever, but we don't want you anymore because you're transgender. I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, if I'm in surgery or I need the best medical care, I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Latino. All I care about is if you can competently save my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you put the red juice back inside?
Yeah. Or keep it from coming out.
You know what? But I can't see it getting to that point because I can't even see this passing. Like, I don't know the legislation that would have to get passed.
Do you think it'll go the same way the travel ban did, where it'll be stopped by the Supreme Court?
But can the Supreme...
I don't even know if it's going to get out of the House and
But
Senate.
can the Supreme Court... I don't think the Supreme Court or Congress or... what do you call it? Judiciary branch has a say over the military, because isn't that the president?
It's part of the president's domain.
Yeah, that's his.
Right, because
yeah,
I mean, one of the biggest factors is commander-in-chief.
He controls the military,
which basically, I mean, General Mattis runs the military as the Secretary of Defense, but when it comes down to it, Donald Trump, technically and by all forms of the definition of commander-in-chief. If he wanted to, he could take total control of the Army and the Navy, the all military branches. He is number one commander. If you know, it stems from, of course, George Washington being the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and he later became the president. And they looked at it and went, "Well, our president should probably be a military man." And up until Barack Obama, they all were.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Up to Barack Obama, they all weren't.
I think every one of them served in some military capacity.
Reagan served in the military?
I believe so, yes. I will double check on that.
Did?
And Bush didn't. Bush was a draft hopper.
George the first Bush or the second Bush?
His son.
I don't believe so.
I thought so.
He skipped over Vietnam. Because that was a whole thing too.
So let me look this up for you.
Okay, fine.
I will. If you guys have more on this, I'll look this one up real quick.
Sure.
Now we've been saying Army a lot when we've been talking about it. Is this just for the Army, or is it for all military?
He stated military.
He was National Guard. There are questions over if he served his term or not, but he was National Guard unless something changes.
Mm.
But so you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
They at least have some kind of background, and of course Obama didn't, and Trump doesn't. But does that affect, in your guys' opinion, does that affect how somebody views the military by not having their own military experience?
Like I just said, I think a couple minutes ago, that him not having ever been in war, I don't think he has the right to say anything. And I think we're getting more into politicians who are not going to be have served in the military. Mm-hmm. I want to say that Iraq and Afghanistan have been a major war, but I don't think they have been as major as something like Vietnam and World War II, just where, in terms of like the draft, we have not had a draft since then, and I feel like a lot of our presidents were forced into fighting war, whether it was World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. They have kind of been forced to fight, and so our current presidents now don't really have... They haven't been forced to fight in the military or had to actively join the military. And I don't think that's an issue with your president not have been in the military. But then I think they need to rely on their generals and their Secretary of Defense.
Who do know what they're talking about.
Who do know what they're talking about more than making your own decisions and doing early morning tweets about what you think should be happening in the military and saying this is what's going to happen. It's... Now,
well, let me ask you guys, let me kind of put it this way. And this is more of a personal stigma than I think anything else. You know, if we were to look back over the course of American history, since the draft was installed, at almost every generation except our own, at some point, all three of us probably would have been drafted.
Yeah.
So, I'm very thankful that we are able to live in a country that these transgender, and all soldiers, but again, this is the topic of the transgender soldiers, that these transgender soldiers are willingly enlist, and serve for the country, so I don't have to. I have no desire to be a part of the military. I have no desire to go and fight a war on turf that I've never been to. I respect the hell out of all of them that do, and I thank them every single day, but I personally don't want to go.
No.
So, if the transgender community is keeping me away from the war, I'm cool with it just on that flat level.
Yeah.
And then you go into the morality of it, and you sit there and you say, this is ridiculous.
Just the logical standpoint,
exactly.
You know? Now, I feel like people say that Trump has been like the anti-Obama, that everything that Obama has put into place, Trump is trying to get rid of and reverse just for the sake of
getting rid of it.
Just because it has Obama's legacy behind it.
But then we talked about that beforehand. Like, I think 3 weeks ago, me and Tyler were talking about that. Like, how the next president that comes in is just going to be anti-Trump. Take all his stuff away.
I think you would consider that they will be, because it is a balancing act. But
as long as they're Democrat.
Well, again, yes. But I think what Chris is getting to is almost... Yeah, Democrats and Republicans don't agree on things, and that's why laws change over time. But it seems like Trump is just spiting Obama.
Yeah.
He's not trying to change laws for the better, or to say that Republicans believe this and we have control of everything, so here we go. He's just making moves, I think, to say, look at me, beat my chest, I'm smarter than Obama.
Mm-hmm. So where I'm getting with this, because I'm glad you really reiterated my point here, what I'm getting with this, and it might be an unpopular opinion, is in the 8 years of Obama's presidency, do you think the nation progressed too left? They progressed too much, where it kind of has now, it's going in the opposite direction because we pushed too hard, too fast. That now it's just like, whoa, slow down, and now it's reversing back in the opposite direction because there was too much force and power in a small period of 8 years, where too much changed, where people who don't accept that change are like, whoa, I am not cool with this, it has happened too fast. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think so, and of course, the pendulum of power always swings back and forth. Government is cyclical, especially in a democratic government. I think we're seeing it for the first time because when President Obama was elected, Chris, you and I were 15, Brandon was 12.
It's the first time I ever really got into politics.
Right, so we were looking at it for the first time because, when Bush was president, we heard what our parents said, whether they were for or against him. Mm-hmm. That's really all what we had to go off of, what our parents said.
Yeah.
When Obama got elected in 2008, we kind of started to
form your own ideas.
Understand. So that was the 8 years that we were brought up in. And especially for people our age, from 12 to 23, that is your formidable years. That's when you really start to pick up on things. And we saw left, and now we have a right-wing president, and it's like, this is extreme right. Mm-hmm. And with Trump, it probably is, but if it would have been a lesser Republican, I think people probably still would have said, this is extreme right, because of, like you said, how far left it was, especially when we were forming our opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't even think a lot of the senators, like, now, like, they're not even agreeing with what Trump has been saying, and it's an abomination what he's said about transgender soldiers, and that they have the utmost respect of even some Republican
and to get off
and governors.
To get off topic a little bit, I mean, you take a look at early this morning when what you would call "quote unquote" Trump care failed.
Way early this morning.
I
was watching it like 2 in the morning.
That was the early part of the morning,
Yeah.
But what I really want to bring up is you talked about the Republicans who don't think that he's in the right state of mind. I mean, John McCain came out and said, I'm not going to vote for this. And when the vote came, he stood firm and did not vote for it.
And he also made a statement earlier in the week saying, like, he can't believe that what Trump is saying about transgender soldiers.
Brandon, what do you think? You've been kind of quiet today.
Honestly, I'm just trying to think of another reasoning maybe that Trump would have for not allowing transgenders in the military instead
do
of
you
what
have
he
one?
said. Honestly, no. I mean, I think he's just...
Besides that, Obama has gotten rid of, like, don't ask, don't tell type of legislation?
Partially that. I think it's just, like, his way of thinking, and since now he's in charge, he gets to implement that. He's always right, and he gets to do it, and everyone has to do what he says, so it's kind of like a power complex.
Do you think this is at all a one in the basket for Mike Pence? Mike Pence is very anti LGBT.
Right.
Do you think this is something, he threw Mike Pence a bone by saying, hey, well, I'm going to get this done for you type of deal?
It's a possibility.
I think there's a very good chance. And the only thing that I think Trump has to be worried about is he has his loyal followers, but I think there's even Republicans who are starting to say, maybe this guy's not what we were hoping he was going to be. And with that, every time Trump gets knocked down a peg, Pence gets raised up a peg. Because you'd have to think, as the vice president right now, and of course Trump's going to run again for office.
Yeah.
But Pence is probably the number one contender.
Yeah.
So every time Trump gets knocked down a peg, Mike Pence is secretly in the back, like rubbing his hands together, saying, this is one more chance for me to get back in the race.
Absolutely. And I think even, like, as you were saying, some Republicans are kind of backing away from him. His first supporter that gave him any kind of credibility was Jeff Sessions. And now Trump, I don't know if you've read
fired him.
He's fired him?
I think he fired him. Didn't he?
He quit.
Unless that happened, like, right now. Wait, what? When did that happen?
We're talking about the press secretary, right?
No, the Attorney General.
Oh, I apologize.
I saw that he got fired.
Let's check this up, but...
if he got fired, that is breaking news. That would be absolutely insane. But like I was saying, he was one of the first people that gave Donald Trump any credibility, and he has completely thrown him under the bus within the last week or 2 weeks.
No, he hasn't been taken off yet. However, I think he probably will soon. I mean, based on how the rest of his staff has kind of faltered and just walked away or been fired, it wouldn't surprise me over the next 3 years. And I say soon, I don't mean within the next couple of weeks. But I don't think he'll be back for a second term.
I think Jeff Sessions also has such a good reputation with the Republican Senate and the Republican Congress that they would probably dig deeper into impeachment and investigation of Trump if he was to fire Jeff Sessions.
Right.
It would be like that, like nail in the coffin, like. That would be the ultimate backstab. I think the way he's treated him within the last couple of weeks has been the ultimate backstab. Here was a man who was coming in as Attorney General that really, he's a racist, he's a terrible human being, and then it's just like, and now I kind of feel bad for him. The way Donald Trump has treated him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
he may still be a garbage person, but he's not the worst person in that building.
He's not the worst person in the building right now. So, I don't know how... I don't think this ban or whatever he's calling it, because it was just a tweet. It was just a statement. It's like if I went out into the public square and started saying things, it doesn't make it law automatically.
Well, that pretty much. That would be basically...
So is this implemented right now? Or is it
No, it's not, because it's not...
This would basically be like... So you and I obviously are not single, but if Brandon were to go up to a girl and be like, "You're my girlfriend now," why? Because I said so.
There would be a 10 to 90 chance that would work.
I don't even know if I'd give you that high. I might give you a 4 to 96. That's the odds, especially with you. Maybe a better looking person has better odds, but you, I give you 4 to 96.
You're my girlfriend. Okay.
Okay.
All right, come on.
So, I don't know if I think we've exhausted our options on this one, but I think we're all in agreement. This is just pathetic. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Whatever adjective and adverb you want to use to describe Donald Trump's tweets.
Play Mad Libs with it.
Yeah, you pretty much could.
I think that's how he makes half of his decisions. He has a presidential Mad Lib. I am going to
verb
ban
minority group
all
transgender.
No, Donald, don't use kill. Don't use kill. Okay, ban.
All noun.
I can't say
transgenders from group. Military. There we go, tweet it out. That would make so much sense.
You know what, honestly, at least I would be more comfortable with it because we could just throw his Mad Lib books away. But right now
replace them with Hello Kitty good Mad Libs.
Right now we're just kind of playing in the dark.
Here's a funny tweet to end.
Go ahead.
End this out with remember Nick Robinson went to school with
Yeah.
him? He retweeted Donald Trump's transgenders should not be able to serve in any capacity in the military. He wrote, this guy clearly has never seen Milan. So I think that was a pretty funny tweet.
I like it. With that, we'll shut it down. We'll head to a first commercial break. On the other side, we're going to change the format up a little bit. We're going to give you guys a little bit of fun earlier in the show than what we normally do. You're listening to Baron Banter. Welcome back into Baron Banter, episode 10. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, Chris Matese here. Each and every Friday, we'll bring you some fun, we'll bring you some newsworthy stuff, and we'll bring you what's ever going on in our stupid little heads. Let's go with a little bit of a fun segment here, guys. Chris, you brought this one up to us.
Yes.
So if you kind of want to introduce the segment, it's all yours.
Sure. This segment's going to be about cinematic universes. Are they good for the movie business? Are they bad for the movie business? We have kind of seen this displayed throughout Marvel. Marvel debuted the first Iron Man, I believe, in 2007.
2005 or
2007.
Okay.
It's been 10 years. 10 years. And so far, I mean, you can see how this has absolutely exploded. Iron Man 1 was the first cinematic universe movie of Marvel. And now we are waiting up to the the
Infinity War.
Yeah, the Infinity War. The ever-awaited Infinity War Part 1 and 2, which is going to be very exciting. But is it a good thing in these cinematic universes? We see DC now trying to replicate, I think, what Marvel's doing.
As they build up for the Justice League.
As they build up for Justice League. They started out with Superman. And so far have had Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and we're waiting Justice League to come out in November. Do you guys like these cinematic universes? Do you like watching these movies that are all connected?
I think they work if done well, like they did with Marvel. A few tie-ins here and there for individual movies and group movies, where they don't jam-pack it in the immediately. Yeah. Like in Captain America: Civil War, I thought it was well done how they had the Avengers, then they break up, and then they bring in someone who wasn't in the movie at all, like Hawkeye or Ant-Man.
Yeah, they didn't introduce too many characters at once. Right. Sorry.
The only character I think they introduced in that movie was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was the only brand new character that was not...
And then he got his own movie, which in Homecoming, they completely skipped the origin story. Because you didn't need it, because you saw him in Civil War, and then you already know it, so just completely skip it and save yourself 45 minutes.
Exactly.
Well, and the origin story thing with Spider-Man, I don't think it's necessary anymore, because of the fact now we're on our third cycle of Spider-Man movies.
We are on our third cycle. Yep.
You know, and not in the course of movies. We're on our third cycle of Spider-Man movies in the last 20 years. There's 3 Tobey Maguire movies. There's 2 Tobey Maguire, right?
2, yeah.
Tobey Maguire.
Then Andrew Garfield.
And then 2 Andrew Garfield, and now you have Tom Holland playing Spider-Man. So you've got 6 movies in total over the course of 20 years. Everybody kind of knows the backstory of Spider-Man. But Chris, honestly, to answer your question, and you guys are bigger superhero movie buffs than me in terms of the Marvel and DC. My big allegiance for the superhero movies really lies within the X-Men, which really has no...
It has its own universe.
It does have its own universe.
Has really no affiliation with this. But my thing is, for somebody like me who's not as big of a fan as you guys, I feel like it gets to a point where I'm just getting movies like crammed down my throat. It's like, you have to watch this, and then this, and then this, and then go back to this origin story. You know what I mean? And it just kind of like, guys, I just want to go watch an individual movie.
There's so much I can even say about that. My dad, who's like, he just likes to see movies on a whim. He is a 54-year-old man, he works a full-time job, and he likes movies, but occasionally he'll like to go and see Avengers. I'll say, hey, Dad, everybody's in this movie. You got to go see it. It's going to be great. And then he goes and watches the Avengers movies, and he has no clue what's happening because he didn't see all the other movies in between. So he's just like, well, the action was kind of cool, but I didn't get anything else from that storyline.
None of the backstories make any sense.
And I feel like there's a generation of kids who are now starting to want to watch these movies, but then, like I said, Iron Man came out 10 years ago. A 10-year-old was not even born now. So if they want to see the new Infinity War movies and Civil War movies that came out, it's just like they're trying to catch up on 10 years of cinema. That happened more recently with my girlfriend's little sister. She loves these new movies, and now she's playing catch-up on, like, trying to watch all the Thor movies. She just watched Doctor Strange because she's like, I have no clue what's going on.
Even with me, I went to see Civil War with my dad for my birthday when it came out. And then I hadn't seen Age of Ultron or The Winter Soldier. I'd missed 2 movies. Yeah. And the only reason I knew of The Winter Soldier or half the stuff that was going on is because of my knowledge of comics.
Well, and that's the thing. You're a comic book reader, which gives you, and Chris, you are too, which gives you that backstory. So you don't necessarily have to see every movie, but you've got people like myself, and in that range, I'm not in an I don't care category because I like the movies, and I'm not in you guys categories where you read all the comic books. I kind of fall in between. I like the movies. I'll go and watch them. I don't know if I'll go and see them in theaters. I'm not a big movie, spend the money on the movies guy, but I'll watch the movies. But for me, when you're centering around a story that I don't particularly like Civil War, you've kind of lost an audience because I saw all the Iron Mans. I've seen all the Hulks. I saw the first Captain America. I saw the first Thor, and I enjoyed all of them. But, when you center around a certain particular story, you're going to lose certain followers here and there, like myself. And I think that's why when you go into the cinematic universe, you have to be very careful with the stories that you pick.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, but I think I think it's a good idea and a bad idea, like you just said, because you lose some people, but you gain others. But think of it like Doctor Strange or Logan. Part of the entire universe, but you can watch entirely by themselves and still get the full movie experience.
Yeah.
There's always little ones like that.
And they're the
even
best
Spider-Man.
movies. They're the best movies.
And even Spider-Man, the new one, Homecoming, you still needed to know what happened in Civil War because they talk about that in the entire movie.
You also need to know what happened in the first Avengers, otherwise the technology of the villains and stuff like that makes absolutely no sense
whatsoever.
Exactly.
Well, and you look at the flip side where I was saying that Marvel has kind of lost me. DC is going to eventually pick up for me. I don't like Superman. I love the Batman movies, of course, but I don't like Superman.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to see Wonder Woman, but when they bring them all together for the Justice League, I'll be in the theater seeing.
Yeah.
So it's very pick and choose, I think, for a lot of people. And you guys are almost outliers more than you are the common theme because you're the ones that are going to see all the movies because you have a vested interest in them.
Well, I'll be completely honest about that, too. I think there's people like you who will skip movies and then see the big ones. For me, their marketing is working perfect on people like me because I have really not that big of an interest in some of the superheroes that they have had in the DC movie so far. Not a big Superman fan, but I watched it because I like Batman, and I want to see the connection between the first Superman and Batman vs. Superman.
Right.
Suicide Squad, did not think it was a good movie, but I went and watched it because I know it's going to have a connection to other things. Wonder Woman is like one of my least favorite superheroes. It's not that I'm against anti-female characters or something like that. Just don't have an interest in her storyline. I went and paid money to see that in the theaters. Why? Because I want to see that before Justice League comes out in case I'm going to miss anything.
Right.
Any post-credit scenes that I want to see. So they're doing their job by making people see each and every movie because I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
I don't want to go into the next movie and be like, I don't understand this part, and that's probably because I didn't see this movie.
Now, we've been talking a lot about movies, but there is also the other side of the entertainment spectrum, which is TV shows.
TV shows, yeah.
And both DC and Marvel have their own cinematic TV series.
Yes.
But Marvel and DC both do it exactly the opposite. Marvel has, I think, one show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which connects to all their movies. DC has 4 shows, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Arrow, and Flash, who all connect to each other, but have nothing to do with the movies.
No.
Well, and let me ask you guys this, because like I said, as somebody that's kind of in the middle, when it comes to DC, I think the shows are better.
Exactly.
When it comes to Marvel,
Absolutely.
I think the movies are better. But so, for me, as somebody that's going to, I will watch an entire season of The Flash. I'll watch an entire season of Arrow. But then they're not going to be involved in the movies. They're different spectrums. Is that how that works?
Different universes.
Yes,
Right.
it's kind of like a multiverse.
So
Yeah.
why exactly is Arrow the TV show and the eventual Arrow superhero character in whatever movie he's in, they're like the same character but different characters?
They might have a different backstory, a different actor playing them, so they don't have
But they're both going to be Ollie at the end of the day.
Yes.
Exactly. Like for the Flash in Justice League, they could have easily gone with
Well, the Flash is
Flash
different because
TV
there's
show.
been multiple Flash. There's been multiple Flashes. You know what I mean? I've not heard of another Arrow. You know what I'm trying to say?
I won't go into too big a detail. There are a few others, but they're not as big as Oliver, so
Right.
that's probably why they won't change
They can
him.
easily write this thing off by saying this just occurs in another universe.
Exactly.
Technically, of everybody in a universe, there is a duplicate of them in another universe.
There's hundreds of millions.
There's
It's
infinite.
infinite.
It's infinite, the amount of multiverses. So they can easily write that off as an excuse by saying, well, this is the Justice League of Earth 1, where what you're watching is the Justice League of Earth 2,
So-
on
Yeah.
a TV show.
I guess with that being said, do you guys feel that at some point multiverse is a cop-out? Because, okay, so we ran the course, the duration of this character, we've got nothing left to give on character X. But if we make character X2 in a parallel universe, now we can run with them again. And they can meet up eventually. Is that a cop-out? Because I think it is.
While it may seem a cop-out, I will say Marvel and DC both do this with different universes because Marvel has had...
I'm not singling out one.
I know, but
singling
Marvel
out.
has had
Single.
the infinite, the Ultimate Universe.
Ultimate Universe, yep.
And they've had other universes where, Tony Stark's not there or something. But, they don't do it as well. DC actually works it in quite well, because most of the time they only do it when they're just revamping their stories. Because they had Earth 1, where it was original stuff. Man of Steel only leaps across tall buildings, he doesn't fly. And then he gets older, and then there's Earth 2, so they can redo it with modern-day technology, modern-day stuff, modern-day trends and people. And then they could have him young again, and just restart his storyline.
It's a way to make...
It's a way to
It's a way to make
never
money.
ending.
Obviously.
It's a way to make money.
Obviously, it's a way to make money, but it's a way to get younger people to read the comics and not go, "Wow, this is so old. Why didn't they just restart this?" They just include everything up to now into a new universe.
I find that to be a cheap way to go about it. If you've run out of ideas, create new characters.
Well, this hasn't just been happening just because
I
of this
understand.
show.
I
This has
understand.
happened back since the golden age of comics.
I understand.
With, the
Create new
flash of 2
characters.
words.
But after, I want to see when did like the first Superman comic book come out? Like the 40s?
30s or 40s.
30s? Action comic #1?
Yeah.
When did that come? Like
probably in the 30s or 40s,
I believe.
I believe you're very right on that. So it's been like 80 years, 80
right.
plus years of the history of a superhero that people have loved for 80 years. That rewriting Superman is going to be a lot better than creating some brand new character.
Superman.
If a kid goes in and he sees, I don't know, Ultimate Man, I'm just making that up, it could be a real person.
Action Comics #1, the first issue with Superman was June 1938.
1938. You're walking in a comic book store and you see some new Ultimate Man. He's the new defender of New York City. And then next to that, you got Superman. And Superman's fighting on the front cover one of his arch enemies. A kid is going to go and pick up a Superman because that's who he knows. That's who
who he knows.
But Tyler, it's not just they've been doing this since the Golden Age, because there was original Flash of Jay Garrick, and then they made him into Barry Allen, and then they had them meet in separate universes. Like Barry Allen went to Jay Garrick's universe. So they kind of did this.
DC does multiverses very well.
They do it
very well.
Very well. Like they integrate it into the story where like now a new threat from a parallel universe, now an evil Superman is coming to our universe. Stuff like that. It works well for them.
They do pull it off well.
And like Marvel, they just do it just so they can have a new look or a new like personality for a certain superhero,
or as like a really hard reset because they noticed that they messed up the storyline so much.
Well, and that's really my overarching theme. What I'm trying to get at here, I'm not saying that maybe I shouldn't use the word cop out. Maybe that's not the way to do it. But they can just reset, and I think that's the best word to use is reset. And for somebody like myself, who isn't a big comic book reader, but knows that they continue to be written 80, 90 years since the original Superman came out, it's kind of suspicious to say, yeah, we just, nothing in this universe is connected to, so the first 15 years of Superman being written and the next 10 years of Superman being written are parallel, but they're not the same.
Well, think of it this way, Tyler.
So basically, you're just writing the story over again in a different universe, and you've taken that as a different comic.
Think of it this way. Chris kind of mentioned this, but you could either have them rewrite the universe and have them, because just think of it as a marketing standpoint.
That's what it is!
Exactly, but think of it this way. They could either rewrite the universe, have have the same Batman, new timeline, or nowadays, 80 years later, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Green Arrow, they're all dead because they're 90 plus years old.
Right.
And they could take a chance with someone new, or they could just rewrite it and have the same old people.
I feel like Marvel has been doing that. They created like the new female like Iron Man. I'm pretty sure that
they have a new female Thor, stuff like that, and a new female Iron Man, like you said, and. You're right, I don't think it did too well.
They're not doing well.
But they did take the chance, so should we applaud them for doing that? Or should we just say, go back to doing what we like?
Well, and that's really the thing, guys, is if you look at it, and you have the golden age of comics, and then you have movies that were made, whether it be the Adam West Batman, which was obviously cartoony, but the Christopher Reeve Superman really kind of kick-started it in the 70s. Then they got rebooted in the 2000s and 2010, and these are cinematic masterpieces. They are great movies. Even if you're not a comic book fan, you just go and enjoy the entertainment and the visuals of it. What's to say that they're not going to redo this again in 2040?
They certainly
will.
They're going
They're
to.
Absolutely going
and people in our situation are going to say, nah, they did that in the 2010s. I don't need to go see it again.
But then the little kids are going to be like, oh, it's a Batman movie. I can't wait to see this. And we'll just, like you said, we'll just be like, well, we already saw this dozens of times.
Here's a great thing I want to throw to you guys, is that with these cinematic universes, this Marvel cinematic universe has been going on now for 10 years.
Right.
The actors, because Marvel has done really good with consistency of actors. Not like, losing an actor and then having to create. I think the only person they might have done that was with the Hulk in the original Hulk movie.
They've changed Hulk 3 times.
Well, in the cinematic universe Hulk, it was
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton, and now it's Mark Ruffalo. So that's the only person they kind of lost.
Skipping out on Eric Bana, though?
Tyler, nobody likes to talk about Hulk. No one.
What a great movie.
But so, like I was saying, these people are getting older. Like, Tony Stark is eventually going to be like... they're going to lose They're going to lose their contract.
Well, and Robert Downey Jr. has already said this is his last movie.
They're going to lose their contract with Chris Evans as Captain America.
Right.
So then it's just going to be like there's going to be a new wave of Avengers that are going to have to take.
Well, that's why they're bringing in the younger characters like Spider-Man, and Scarlet Witch, Vision. They can keep them around for a while.
Yeah.
And they even did that with the X-Men franchise with Logan. How they killed off what's his name? Who plays Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
He's no longer doing... Or Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
They're no longer going to be in any X-Men movie.
Yeah.
So, what's going to happen with the future ones? Are they just going to, like, cut them around? Like, are they just going to be, like, off-screen?
They shouldn't make any X-Men movies anymore.
Well, they're going to be making
I'm understanding
What's
of that.
What's the fun in that?
They're going to
see another X-Men movie.
They're going to make a lot of money from X-Men movies.
Of course they are.
And B, everyone's going to go see new
They
X-Men
are
movies.
making these movies at an absurd rate because people pay for it. And that's...
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't see the problem with that.
I don't see a problem with that.
Absolutely not.
They're making money off of me, and I'm staying very, very entertained.
Exactly. I left Captain America Civil War not sure if I would enjoy it, and just went, that is the greatest movie I've ever seen.
That's the reason I don't go see all of them like you guys do. I get it. I understand it.
In all honesty, these are the only movies I ever put money out, really, to go in the movie theater. I do not step foot in a movie theater unless it's for a DC or Marvel movie, honestly.
I wanted to do it once for Pirates, but I didn't see the point. I mean, think about it. I mean, even Disney movies, like, even if they come out with a new awesome kind of live action, kind of like they did with Pirates 1, are you going to go see it?
What, the first Pirates?
No. Like, say they do something like that where it's new, it's innovative.
Probably not.
No? Because, like you said, it's not DC, it's not Marvel. Yeah. I have no interest.
Now, this is going completely, not off topic, but we're taking a complete step away from the superheroes. There's this thing that Universal is coming out with called the Dark Universe. It's going to be a cinematic universe, and what they're doing is they're going to be starting to recreate all these original black and white type of horror movies, make them modern day, and somehow they're all going to be connected. So far, we saw The Mummy. The Mummy came out. This is the first movie that's going to be in that cinematic universe. I did not want to see The Mummy. I have not seen The Mummy. But I will go see The Mummy when it comes out on DVD, because now I know that it's part of a cinematic universe.
I'll go see The Mummy when they put Brandon Fraser back in it.
I don't want to see The Mummy because I love the original two.
Well, they're not related in any way.
I know that, but it just makes me think of the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies.
So here, we had The Mummy, came out on June 9th. They announced the next movie that's going to be part of this, part of this dark universe. The Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
It's coming out in February of 2019. So far, they have announced that there will be a Creature from the Black Lagoon movie, an Invisible Man movie, a Van Helsing, a Wolfman movie, a Frankenstein movie, a Dracula movie, a Phantom of the Opera movie, and a Hunchback of Notre Dame movie.
Or we could
just
watch Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing.
Time out. Thank you for getting to that point, because that movie was incredible. And everybody hates
it. And it had literally every single thing you just described.
Yes. So what do you think how do you think they're going to bring this all together, this dark universe? How do you connect all these
Maybe
movies?
It'll be, you ever see Monster Squad, an old 90s movie where it was a group of like kids who loved monster movies and everything, and then the monsters were actually real and they came to life and they all grouped together and tried to like do some evil scheme. Maybe they'll do something like that with that.
That sounds tacky though. I don't think they're going to go that direction.
I think they're going to use what's his name? Who was the main character in the Mummy movie that just came out? I can't think of his name.
The guy from
Tom Cruise. Yeah, it was Tom Cruise. Do you think they're going to make him into like a Van Helsing character, where his character is going to keep on reappearing throughout these movies?
He's like the knowledgeable, like he comes in, he fixes everything.
I sure hope not, because I don't want my Van Helsing to be 5'10".
I don't know. I'm very.
I get what you're trying to say, though.
I want to know how they're going to relate all these movies, and I don't think they really have said how they're going to relate.
They don't have a plan.
I don't think they do. But it's all supposed to take place in the same universe that they're calling the Dark Universe.
Right.
It's being done by Universal.
Oh yeah, Universal's flying by the seat of their pants right now.
And it all leads up to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, basically. But no, so what you're trying to tell me is Universal's going to pop out all these monster movies and they're going to completely revamp their park. That's what they're getting at.
No more Transformers. Yes.
Well, it's going to just be that's all they put in anymore is
their movies,
holographic rides.
Yeah.
So that's what they'd be getting at, in my opinion. But
I'm interested to see what they do with this.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt
because we don't have many other cinematic universes besides DC, Marvel. I think earlier off the microphone we have talked about maybe Harry Potter.
Right, it's starting to grow.
Universe. They've had 8 movies, and then they're doing the.
Well, is that considered a cinematic universe? It's just sequels.
Well, not only you have the Fantastic Beasts,
and Where to Find Them.
And you're gonna get origin stories.
There's a Voldemort movie.
They're talking, Voldemort origin story. So it's like.
But do we need that?
No.
Do we need it? No, but do they want the money?
Buy it?
Yes. It's like, why do they continue to jack up prices at sporting events? Because people pay for it. Why is a beer $13? Because the drunk guy in 2 rows in front of you is going to fall down and kill somebody, and he's going to buy 10 beers. That's why they're $13. That's why they keep making the movies.
Why are beers $13? I mean, you need something to spill on someone else's baby.
How are we doing on time?
We're up there.
Wow, we're going to probably make this 3 segments today. We're trying to avoid that, but it became unavoidable.
I think we can get a 4th in there.
I don't think so. You're wrong. You get vetoed. Wrong. Fake news.
Alright then.
We'll see how it goes. We're going to take a break. On the other side of Baron Banter, we'll get to some rapid fire news segments. Welcome back, another segment here on Baron Banter. We're going to do something that we started last week. We really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to kind of throw a lot of topics in a small amount of time. So, Brandon, throw 15 minutes on the clock. We're going to get this one started. Here's another rapid-fire news segment. Brandon kind of ran the show last time, so I think he did a pretty adequate job. We'll let him do it again. What do you think, Brandon?
I will absolutely willing to. Now, unlike before, we did...
Boring. Go ahead.
This is all my equipment. You know that, right? I could edit you entirely out. It'll be just me and Chris from now on.
Do me a favor. Know your role and shut your mouth.
I thought you wanted me to lead this segment.
I do. Go ahead.
Anyway, unlike last time, I didn't run any of these by Tyler, and Chris doesn't know anything about these. I didn't even look at most of them. I just saw the headlines and thought they'd be interesting.
Okay.
So
we're in for a wild ride here.
Just to start this one off, I found this title. I thought it was kind of interesting. A man killed his wife on a cruise ship for laughing at him.
What?
Now, I'll read a little bit into
this. Read the description.
What?
A man suspected of killing his wife while on a cruise ship in the United States, or actually it says U.S. states, so United States.
How did they get a cruise ship in the continental U.S.?
Of Alaska.
Oh, okay.
A U.S. state of Alaska. I should have read more. Did so because she would not stop laughing at him, a witness says.
So the woman was laughing at him. For what?
Kenneth Manzanera. That one. Manzanares has been charged with the murder of his 39-year-old wife, whose body was found with severe head wounds in their cabin. He was detained after security agents found blood on his hands and clothes, court document says. Mr. Manzanares, court-appointed public defender, has not commented. This is very poorly written.
It's not a well-written article.
It's like there's barely any commas. They're like,
who's it from?
Once again, Tyler, our good old friend of BBC News.
That'll do it. Leave it to the British to write an American story.
A witness who entered the couple's cabin before the security agent said he saw the 39-year-old suspect dragging the victim's body to the balcony, the document said. The witness then grabbed the woman's ankle and pulled her back in. This is what? Get to the good stuff.
How was she killed? All we know is head trauma.
When he asked Mr. Manzanares, I'm probably changed up single time I pronounce it.
Call him Mr. M from now on.
Mr. M. What had happened, the man allegedly said she would not stop laughing at me.
This kind of reminds me of, have you guys ever heard the story, I think it was a couple years back, where the man killed his infant baby
because he broke
the PlayStation disc? Broke his PlayStation disc and killed the baby. Kind of very similar to me.
It only takes a little bit, I guess, to send somebody over the edge.
I guess it's just whatever the snapping point is, I guess. Like,
some people
because that normally would not bother you. Maybe that was just the like we talked about earlier, the final nail in the coffin type deal.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
We don't know what happened prior. Imagine they have a wedding, They're going on a honeymoon. They're taking the cruise. It's their first night together, and they've never done it together. He pulls down his pants for the first time. She sees it for the first time, and she can't stop laughing. I mean, that could have been the driving factor.
That's fantastic.
You know what? We can't rule that out.
You can't rule that out. That's fantastic. Because that would get me mad. That would be more angry.
Ha ha! I get it. It's small. Can we move on from this? And she's like, no, I can't.
This is hysterical.
Somebody else needs to see this.
Take pictures.
Picture taken.
By the way, I want a divorce.
Oh, well, you'll get a divorce. You'll get a divorce right now.
Yeah, real soon. How did he kill her?
It doesn't say. It just sends blunt trauma to the head.
Yeah.
So he beat her over the head with something.
Something in the room, and a lot of the things.
You've been in a cruise ship.
There's not a lot of things in the room,
right?
And most of the things are nailed down and bolted.
Maybe it's something, a lamp or something he brought.
He could have always banged her head against something.
Bar of soap.
We're not CSI people here.
A towel.
You can kill a man with a newspaper. It's not that hard.
Well, it's like that old video, Brandon, the spoon guy.
Oh, the horribly ineffective murderer with the extremely ineffective weapon. He literally just goes around beating the same dude for years on end with a spoon, and then it breaks at one point, in which case he opens up his jacket where he's covered in other spoons. And he continues the beating. It's hilarious. But on to the next subject.
Okay.
Oh, wait. That was for the original. That was for the first one.
Yeah, I saw Trump. I figured that wasn't...
Yeah. That was for the original. I forgot about it.
Are we done with him for the day?
I think so.
Okay.
It was about the healthcare bill.
Okay.
Ferrari driver writes off new car on M1 in Barnsley. Now, I didn't get what that one was about until I read into the description. It's a driver lost control of his new 200,000-pound Ferrari and careened it off a motorway before it burst into flames after owning it for just an hour. That's
got to be some kind of record. That'd be like pulling off the lot after you signed your new car and somebody T-bones you.
Could you imagine that?
Making the right and just getting slammed.
You know what? This is from the BBC News. Maybe it's the same guy as the first story. Maybe that was the start of his
What's
day.
the car look like?
That's the aftermath.
That's completely unrepairable.
I'll put up this picture on screen. It's completely demolished, as you can see.
Is he alive?
Let me see. The high-performance Ferrari 430 Scuderia.
Don't worry about the name.
Was reduced to a twisted wreck after the smash on the M1 near Junction 37 in South Yorkshire on Thursday afternoon. Police described how the car went airborne in the wet conditions. The driver walked away with just cuts and bruises. So he is alive.
Not only is he alive, he's pretty much fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Except that he just wasted 200,000 pounds.
That is insane.
Do you think he's got insurance on that
The
car insurance probably hasn't even kicked in yet.
It also lit on fire.
Oh, good. Has Ferrari made a comment?
I don't
think hey, we'll get you a new car, or hey, don't drive our cars anymore?
I don't think so.
All right. Fair enough.
So
let's hit the next one.
This one I just found interesting. I didn't read into it. Why does the U.S. military buy so much Viagra? That is the title of this article. I just thought it was interesting as all hell. So,
is there a reasoning behind this?
Not sure.
Of course, it's BBC too.
Once again, it's from our good old friends at BBC News.
What do we have on this? What's the reason?
So, amid the fallout from U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement on Twitter that transgender people will not be able to serve in the U.S. military, one statistic has been frequently raised to draw attention to the comparatively small estimated cost of transgender healthcare. It refers to the amount the Pentagon spends on erectile dysfunction medication annually, about $84 million, according to the Military Times newspaper.
So now, who is this Viagra going to?
Yeah,
is it young soldiers? Because it could be going all to the generals, who are all old guys, which would make sense.
Is it just goes to active duty, or how about veterans?
Veterans and retired military. Because
First, it is worth pointing out that the Military Times February 2015 report based its figure on 2014 data from the Defense Health Agency. I thought this was going to be about older people. I apologize. It doesn't actually say who it goes to. Mm-hmm. It just says how much it spends and how much they get.
Guys, I don't know the reasoning for this, but I am a psychology major.
Okay.
But having things such as depression or extreme anxiety actually reduces your
testosterone
possibility to kind of get fully aroused. Right. So, that could be a reason.
PTSD is almost a testosterone killer.
I want to say testosterone. It's just the blood flows goes to other areas besides your
junk.
Yeah.
All right, next topic.
All right, so we're honestly now going to have to put BBC in the credits.
Yeah, once again, this is for you, BBC.
What, did you just go on BBC's website?
No, I typed in news on Google and found the most interesting, or just thought it's just the one that looked the most fascinating titles.
I think what we need to do is go find a common author on these and have him on our show.
Yeah.
Whoever the BBC headline guy is, that's who I want.
Swear to God, I'm not just going on BBC News. I'm going on Google and typed in just news. That's it. So this one is, a communist soldier uses a charity site to fund a war.
Nice.
So, apparently charity donation websites often used to support victims of violence are being employed by a number of Westerners to finance their personal war efforts.
You know what that sounds like? Scarily sounds like? If you were to take communist out of there and put the Catholic Church in there, pretty much the same thing.
Honestly, you're not... That's actually...
Spot on?
Spot on. So, fighting continues in eastern Ukraine. I'm just continue reading on. In eastern Ukraine, as pro-Russia separatists battle Ukrainian government forces, more than 10,000 people have died since the conflict erupted in April 2014.
Great.
And recently, a rebel leader declared a state called Malorussia, Little Russia, in Donetsk. What is with your names out there, people? My God. Among the separatists are a number of Westerners drawn to the country by the conflict and financing their adventures using charity crowdfunding websites such as Kickstarter.
So Kickstarter and GoFundMe right now literally has communist... What are they, Ukrainians that want to be Russian, or are they Russians that want to be Ukrainian?
It just says Westerners.
I would think that it's the
pro-Russian.
Yeah.
So they're Ukrainians that want to be Russian.
That want to be Russian.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's mostly what it says. I just thought it was fascinating that someone could just start a war over... just like, alright, I'm on green light. I need $20,000 to start a war.
Please help me out.
That just sounded so fascinating.
Hello, my name is Ivan.
My name Ivan. I would like to start war with Ukraine. Would like $20,000 for useful plutonium.
That's spot on.
Thank you.
Can't do anything else more with that. Next story.
Alright, this is the last one I got, and it's kind of in line with the first one. An Indian man kills his wife over dinner delay.
What?
Yeah.
So, dinner wasn't ready on time and he stabbed her?
Back to the BBC News. So, I'll read
this guy wins Headline Writer of the Year.
Police...
You just won the first Baron Banter Award.
I'm trying to
call it a Banty.
The Banty.
The Banty Award.
We should have that as one episode.
A yearly award.
The first annual. We'll just give out awards to ridiculous things for people.
It doesn't say it's writer on here. It might be like some anonymous thing. So, reading from this, police in India say that they have arrested a 60-year-old man who fatally shot his wife for serving his dinner late. I'm going to butcher this name, but Ashok Kumar came home drunk on Saturday night and got into an argument with his wife, Rapush Singh, a senior police officer in... Tyler, could you help me out with that city name? Ghaziabad City, near the capital Delhi, told the BBC. Sunani, 55, was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to her head, but by then she had died, reports said. Mr. Kumar had confessed his crime and now regrets his actions, Mr. Singh.
Oh, no shit? Hey, you know what, guys? I bet you, I don't know if this is 100%, but I bet dinner's going to be late tomorrow.
I was going to say, that's a stupid, way to go about that, because now he's not going to get anything.
Yeah, now you ruin dinner for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Mr. Kumar used to drink every day. On Saturday, he came home drunk and started having an argument with his wife. She was upset with his drinking habit and wanted to talk about it, but he wanted dinner immediately, Mr. Singh said. He got frustrated with the delay and shot her.
I hope Mr. Singh likes... he will have dinner every day, at the same time, every single day.
No, Mr. Kumar is the one.
Kumar. So Mr. Kumar is going to have dinner every single day at the same time. It's going to be gray mush every day for the rest of his life.
Isn't that what Indian food usually is?
Well,
But honestly, that's most of what it says. I just thought all of these were incredibly
Great
interesting.
headlines. Great headlines.
Whoever's writing for the BBC News needs to get promoted. Because you have just taken...
You are world headline, man.
You are great at your job. I also want to see if it's the same guy writing. I'll go back in my history real quick just to see who is writing all these. Give me 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Now it's just going to be 2 minutes of dead silence?
Dead silence.
I can't hold a conversation for 2 minutes. What am I supposed to do? I'm hyperventilating. What are we doing here?
Alright, so most of these don't honestly have...
They probably
They
won't.
Don't have their author. Though
Check the bottom of the page.
Though the communist one was by Sam Bright. Well done, Sam Bright.
We can just assume Sam did all of them, then.
You are the man, Sam Bright. You win the Banty today.
You win the monthly Banty.
There you go.
Do we send him a prize?
Yeah, let's shoot him an email.
Like a fruitcake in the mail.
Hey, man. You don't know
tweet
us.
You out.
You don't know us, but you won a Banty. He'd be like, what?
Here's a complimentary fruit basket dipped in chocolate.
They're expensive, dude. I'm not paying that kind of money.
And especially to send it over to England?
Send it to England? That'd be...
It's a little pricey for a Banty. We're not on that kind of budget.
Enclosed in the envelope is an American $10 bill. Spend it as you wish. He's like, can't use this here. What the hell?
I think you can use American dollars in England.
I don't think so.
You just get traded over.
Yeah.
But you can't use the $10.
You mean inconvenient for him. He has to go to the local post office or bank and get it transferred.
He's not a repeat listener, I'll tell you that. We got a 25, a 25, and a 17.
Yes.
That puts us over an hour already. What do you guys want to do?
Let's do one more.
All right.
One more.
We're going to do it live. Let's do it live. We're going to go to commercial break.
We'll do it live.
We're going to go to commercial break. On the other side, we'll wrap things up with a little bit of fun. Welcome back into the final segment of Baron Banter for this episode. We've come up with a decision that at one point in the coming weeks to months, we are going to do a Banties episode. We're going to give out awards for the best of different categories. So stay tuned for the Banties coming up later in Baron Banter. But we're back for one final segment here today on this Friday, the last one in July. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, Chris Matase. So we're going to go with a little bit of a more lighthearted segment like we like to do to end the show. Chris kind of brought this one up to us as he himself is about to embark on a road trip. Pretty big one, too. It's not like you're going down the shore.
We're going on the Oregon Trail.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have died of
don't get dysentery.
I will try not to get the dysentery. No, we're just going to Nashville.
Now, let me get off topic real quick.
Yeah.
When you guys played Oregon Trail, and everybody's played Oregon Trail,
For the most part.
did you make your kids' names like poop and stuff like that? Because all my friends thought that was like the funniest thing in the world, to name your kids like bitch and poop.
I don't remember being able to name the kids.
Oh yeah, you can
name everyone.
Yeah, you can.
I didn't name them that. I just tried not to name them after people I liked. Like if it would be like, oh, Tyler has died of dysentery.
You would have been so excited.
I'd be like, no.
You would have been so excited if Tyler died of dysentery. But anyway, Chris, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to Nashville. We're leaving in a couple days, and it's going to be a fun ride. I think we're going 14 hour trip.
So are you taking the straight down route, or are you guys doing the Ohio and then cutting
So the
down?
route that we're going to take, and it's the one that was best advised, is we're going to go down to Baltimore through 95 from Philadelphia, and then make a complete western turn and take that all the way across that Maryland-Pennsylvania border.
Maryland's a long ride that way.
Yes, and then down into West Virginia and Kentucky, and then into Tennessee to Nashville.
So you've got yourself a long trip ahead of you.
We do, and I think with any long trip, the thing that you got to keep in mind is how do you keep yourself entertained?
That's true.
For that long.
Well, and I think each road trip is different.
Because it has to do with the people involved.
And that's exactly right. It has to do with the people involved.
Because for me and him, for a road trip, we would pop on a playlist that we created for when we were planning to drive to Disney. We'd jam out for as long as we needed to, and we'd be perfectly fine.
See, I would totally be up for that, but my car does not have any... My car was made in a weird time period of car technology where it doesn't have an adapter for a cassette, so I could put a cassette that connects to my iPod or my phone to play music.
And it doesn't have an aux cord.
It doesn't have an aux cord. So we strictly only have CDs.
So you guys got to make a lot of mixtapes.
And I
mix CDs.
I don't
have a CD burner.
I don't have a CD burner. I do not burn CDs anymore.
Right.
So it's made up of very old, around the time frame of maybe 2007 to 2013 CDs.
Right.
So that's all that I really have, and half of them are scratched up, and
some of them don't work.
Yeah.
So who's all in this car with you?
It is going to be myself, my brother, my mom, and my dad.
Okay, so you've got a range of people that are kind of different, obviously different ages, different mindsets.
Yeah.
That's tough to do.
Yeah.
Because, let's say you and myself and, a couple of our other buddies went down on a road trip, or like Brandon said, when he and I went down to Disney.
Yeah.
You have common interests, especially people that have common music taste, it's really easy.
Which is not true for us, because the rest, my mom and my brother, I'll say especially, they love country music, where me and my dad were more of like rock people. We kind of get annoyed with country after a while. So I think the battle for trying to find a radio station is going to be
very difficult.
Very interesting. Even with the CD playing, we got a couple country albums that I'm sure are going to want to get played a lot.
Right. You're going to get your Zach Browns and your Florida Georgia Lines in there. And
I'll tell you, you know what? But this is going to be a new journey that I've never done before. So for me, I love road trips, so just kind of like looking out the window and like seeing all these brand new places I've never been. I'm pretty sure driving through West Virginia, we're going to be going through like the Appalachian Mountains and stuff like that. So that's going to be pretty. That's going to be pretty cool.
You're going to hit some towns that you didn't know were towns, and you can't believe they were named that way. And there's probably about 7 people that live there.
Yep.
It's going to be one of those towns where it's one road, it's a stoplight, church on one side, bar on the other side, and that's all you got.
Yep.
It's just going to be 50 straight miles of wheat and cow. That's all you're going to see.
Well, that's central Pennsylvania too, so don't knock that either. Yeah. But I think you're right. It's different because, especially with our families, we've made the trip back and forth to Florida many times.
Yep.
It's the same ride every time, and it's cool to get down there.
And it's strictly just
95, almost the entire way.
The whole time.
Well, that's the thing. You have 95, and you get off 95, and you take I-4, and you're in Orlando.
Yes.
What you're doing, you've got Kentucky, you've got West Virginia. You could go through Louisville and Kentucky.
I think we are.
Right. Yeah. So there's places you've never been before that are going to be very interesting to stop and
see. Hey, what's that over? That's cool. We're going through this city. Now, this is another interesting thing, and I'm pretty sure you guys have never personally done it. We're going to be driving, and driving west, where at a certain time,
the clocks change.
The clocks are going to change. We're going to gain an hour traveling, which is going to be very interesting.
Well, that I've done that a couple of times on my way to Chicago.
Did you drive to Chicago?
We did. Let me put it this way. We drove to Evanston, which is where Northwestern's campus is. So at some point, it goes from, let's say, 152 to 152. Basically like... So it's kind of like, basically when the clocks fall back. Yeah. You go from 1:59 to 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I think it's pretty interesting.
Cool. Now, did your phone automatically do that?
Yes, my phone automatically updates.
I can't wait to get to that certain point where we just went a couple feet,
in one direction.
Right.
And
then it's like, look at that, our phones changed.
Right. Well, and the thing is, you're not going to notice it. You're never going to sit there with your phone like this in your hand.
I might.
You might, personally.
What do you guys like? You guys said you like to do music on a long road trip. Do you guys like to do anything else?
When we were planning on driving to Disney before we had decided to fly, we had went to Spotify and we literally we went through every artist that we could name and picked 3 songs. One that we could both agree on, and then one for each of us that we personally enjoyed. We basically had just created the ultimate playlist of 24 hours.
I think it was about an 18-hour playlist of a mixture. Since we were driving, we were going to plan to drive to Disney World. It was a mixture of music that we enjoyed and Disney music. You know, and when we kind of decided that we were going to fly, we still used it, but we only got 2 hours worth out of it driving to Baltimore. But it was a playlist that we really kind of painstakingly went over.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, we created it in such a way that there was purpose to songs. It wasn't just like, hey, I like this song. There were songs that we went, you know, we might want this when it's 15 hours in the car ride, you're getting a little delirious in the car, and you just want to belt out Bye 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 by NSYNC, or Who Let the Dogs Out, you know what I mean? Like something kind of, not necessarily something you listen to, but something you know the words to at some point in your life, that it's like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm on 95 in this long stretch of Georgia. I mean, you know how long Georgia takes.
Georgia, South Carolina.
South Carolina and Georgia just take forever. And, you know, I'm driving on the same road. I want something that's going to be, you know, kind of pick my spirits back up. Come On Eileen. 500 miles, you know. Everybody's got their own songs.
We pretty much designed it so that either of us could play it at any point.
Right.
And just jam out immediately.
Well, and that was the thought process was, you know, at some point the person in the passenger seat is going to be sleeping.
Yeah.
So it's something that, you know, we don't have to change. It's something that, you know, if Brandon were to have been driving and I were asleep, there's music on there that Brandon enjoys. And then vice versa.
So, one thing that my family likes to do, we play this game. I don't know, you guys play games in the car, like stuff like that?
Right, we used to. Yellow car.
Yellow car. That was
trying to find a yellow car.
Yeah, most simple game in the world.
Did the one car that was like half yellow, half green, you lost like 10 points.
Oh, okay.
Like, what are those cars? Like, what is the company?
I forget. I know what you're
talking
about.
Auto something?
Yeah, it's Auto something or other. But go ahead.
So one thing that we do is we play this like letter game. So like
on the billboards.
On the billboards, so you start with A, and then you have to find something that saes B and C. So that's always a fun thing.
And Q is just an awful time.
We sometimes skip over some stuff unless we actually like kind of like extended the rules to like, you know, like maybe you see like a hotel sign, so like the Quality Inn is always a good cue one.
Right. Oh, so you play strictly billboards?
We play billboards and like signs.
Okay, so see, like when normally when we play, it's just open. Like obviously, you know, the word "the" on something doesn't count.
Yeah.
But like if you're looking for, like you said, a Quality Inn, that kind of.
True.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Now, do you guys think anything's too long for a road trip? Like, where would you draw the line with driving?
I'll tell you, driving to Disney is hard. Driving to Disney is very, very rough. And I think it all depends.
Being a passenger
it all depends on the number of drivers you have.
And you know, are you guys stopping along the way? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Stopping to eat, but not stopping to, you know, stay over by any means. You know what I mean? So you're stopping to eat and get gas, but you're not really. We never stopped.
We stopped at Wawa's or
to say like, you know, get a hotel in North Carolina or something like that.
Well, how about if you guys? What would you think about like if you drove to California, which is almost
That'd be brutal.
Or two? What is it like? About 2 times the trip?
It's probably 40 hours.
You would need to give me whatever that trucker had.
But what happens if you driving and then you stop at a city, spend a day there?
Well, see, I think that's different. Yeah. I think that's a different.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
Right, and you're talking across country at that point. It's that's a legitimate road trip. Yeah. But the 40 hours of hardly stopping, I don't think I could do it. That's rough.
Yeah, that would be.
And again, you know, you talk about the roads that never end. You get through Kansas, and from what I've heard, Kansas and Oklahoma and, you know, things like Iowa, they're just death traps of straight roads. That's all you're driving on is one straight continuous road. And I mean, it's one of those roads where you look ahead and you see 50 miles ahead of you. Yep. It's so straight and flat. It'd be difficult. Very, very. I think I would need probably not only the right amount of people, but the right people as well. Because, if you're in a car with somebody that if after a couple hours or after a day is going to get on your nerves, that's a rough trip to make.
Yeah. You know what? This is it. I think me and my girlfriend talked about this before, and it would be the most ridiculous road trip in the world. But I would love to try and drive from here in the United States down to like Central
Hawaii.
America. Oh, I was gonna say like Central America, like Costa Rica or Panama or something like that. Like, could you imagine doing like a?
Can you cross the Panama Canal on car?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would believe so.
It would be very difficult.
Yeah.
There is an ocean in the way, and I don't think cars have the tendency to.
There's
float.
a canal.
There's a canal that people can
That's
obviously
the point
cross
of
over.
building the Panama Canal. There's a bridge on top. You didn't think about that one.
I'm not a college graduate. What do you want from me? I'm the editing guy. I'm the tech guy.
That's true.
I know that stuff. I don't know canals.
That's true. That's very true. How long would that? You know what? Let's put it in the GPS right before we wrap this show up.
Where are we heading?
What country are we going to? Give me
Europe.
All right, you're out.
Go to Panama City.
All right, Panama City it is.
From where we are here in Ben Salem.
Panama City County International Airport. That's the first thing it takes us to. Let's take it. Directions.
I think you have to switch it to car.
That can't be right. What? That cannot be right.
You could switch.
Panama is. It's giving me Florida.
Oh, well, we
That
don't
would
want to
be
go.
why.
That would be an easy trip.
Yeah, that's
We've done that before.
We've done that.
Panama City, Panama. Here we go.
Okay.
Can we?
It just.
We can't drive.
If you
You can't go over the Panama Canal?
You could certainly go over the Panama Canal.
There's no reason as to why you can't drive to Panama City.
There's absolutely no reason.
You go into Google and you switch it to the walk icon. It's just like, are you serious?
You're legit. All right, so let's try something maybe.
Mr.
above.
Gump, we can't advise this.
Let's do. Trying to think of a bigger city in maybe like Costa Rica.
Yeah, I was going to think Costa Rica.
Let's try San
Guam.
Jose.
Let's try San Jose.
Did you say Guam, Brandon?
Yes.
Guam is a country. You don't know anything, do you?
Yes.
In the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah, not drivable.
Who says?
It will not let me take to get a directions.
Clearly,
Really?
your place isn't drivable either. So, take that one, Tyler.
All right, let's try Mexico City. Let's give
Try
that
it.
one a shot. Mexico City.
This is a lot of
All right.
air, people.
2,023 miles. So you're talking about from here to Mexico City, approximately, assuming this wants to load. There's no dead air. We're talking the whole time.
It's very interesting stuff, Brandon.
Yeah, we're trying to figure this out. Routes cross international borders.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. One day,
Figured that one.
16 hours. Take I-81. So what you're going to do is...
It's almost a 2-day trip.
Yeah. I want to see what the longest stretch of road is. 111 miles on I-77, 160 miles on I-12, 266 miles on Route 59. Jesus. And that's opposed to, so we have 2,566 miles.
Guys,
What's it take to get to California?
I did it through Google Maps, Google Maps, not our iPhones.
It
Maps.
will let you drive
It
there.
will let me drive, and it is an 85-hour trip from our location to Panama City.
85 hours, so 24 in a day, 48 in 2, 72 in 3. So you're looking at 3 days and 13 hours to
And
get to
over
Panama.
4,400 miles.
Oh my goodness. It probably actually costs less to fly than it does to drive.
But it's the experience, man.
I don't know.
I would rather
Let me ask you
fly.
something. Do you want to drive through Mexico? Because I don't.
It would be so much fun.
You would have to get so many passport regulations.
Really? You probably just need one passport.
Well, you need one passport, but don't you have to get it stamped every country you go through?
I've never got my passport stamped.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing they really do.
Really? Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Any other thoughts?
That would be horrible.
Yeah, not fun. That's too long. If you're asking how long is too long, 4,000 miles is too long.
That's too long.
I would hate to get lost in Nicaragua.
Your car-
That's the
You're
thing,
like
right?
shit.
Your
Like,
car breaks
you're driving
down.
on the wrong side of the road at some point.
Nah.
One of those countries have to drive on the left-hand side.
No.
Not one of them.
No, The only places are England, South Africa, and I believe Australia, because they're all used to be English owned.
Are you sure?
Maybe in India too. I don't think any South American countries would have that.
All right.
It's only places that used to be owned by England that do that because they're
enough.
backwards on BBC News.
Yeah, BBC News. Headlines. 3 idiots get lost in Nicaragua. Stay tuned.
Okay.
On over 3-day trip
I think
to Panama.
I think that's our title. Lost in Nicaragua. Let's wrap it up for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this one, please leave a like, a comment, or a subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at EasyMotorLs. You can follow me on Twitter at Teasel34. You can find us on a whole lot of other locations and sites. If you enjoyed this, tell your friends. Keep on listening. If it's the first time tuning in, thank you so much. If it was your 10th time tuning in, thank you for tuning in every episode. We appreciate your dedication and loyal support. For my co-hosts, Mr. Chris Matase and Brandon Zulli, I am Tyler Zulli saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend.